All right, guys. So this is the qualitative part of talking about data analysis, and so this is a PowerPoint that was in one of my classes for my PhD, and so I decided I would use it to talk about this because it does a good job. So unlike um, unlike quantitative research, where I'm going to take data, this pure numbers, and I'm going to analyze it using statistics. Qualitative involves coding, and what it is it basically is using a ton of either narrative data or text data and coding it to a way to help us answer our research questions. And so, what we're basically going to do is we're going to organize our data. Maybe we're going to get it into files. We're going to read it. We're going to, make notes, reflect on it. Then we're going to code it. We basically pick different themes and code them, and then we're going to use that to come up with our understanding of our summary. And so you have to really figure out a process that works for you. And I can't really tell you how to do this. I can only tell you how I did it. And so this is giving an example of how they had a transcript from a 10th grader, and it was labeled as, it's telling you how they basically labeled each interview that they had. So you would have to come up with your own way to, decide who it was that you interviewed, or how to keep up with your data. The coding process is really the part that I want you to know. So when you take your data, and understand you're going to have either a bunch of documents or a bunch of transcripts from interviews, you're going to do kind of an initial coding. It's really where you're just kind of separating things out into broad piles. Then you're going to go to level 2, where you're going to start to put your first sets of codes. Okay. And then your final level of coding is where you're going to kind of refine your theme. So I'll tell you how I did this, or how I do this. Let's say, for instance, I'm looking at, I'm doing a document analysis. And let's say I've got, let's say, 20 different policies from somewhere, and I'm wanting to find the common themes. So what I will do is I will go get as many different highlighters as I can possibly get. And I'll start picking out the themes, and I'll highlight one theme, one color. And every time I see that theme, I highlight the same color. Okay, and then I code the colors. And basically anything that sounds similar, I make the same color. And at the end, I basically kind of got a way of organizing those themes of what I see that's common between all of them. And so, you want to kind of reread and make sure you understand your data. And then you want to look at it as you start to kind of, highlight things or break things into chunks. You want to do it in relation to your research questions. And so this is kind of just an example where on the right it has kind of the transcript part of it, and on the left it kind of how they decided they would code it. Okay, and I'll post this without the audio so you can go back and look at it. But you want to get basically kind of major big ideas grouped together or coded together, and then underneath those you can have kind of subcategories. And so when you get to step 2, you're wanting to try to organize these into categories and get them to where they make sense to you. And so this is an example of how on the right it was the difference between good life and bad life. And again, this is educational research. It doesn't have anything to do with sport, but let's just say that, I was looking at policies related to social media. and let's say that I found a theme where every single school required their athletes to go through social media training. Well, I would highlight that, and that would be a common theme. And then in the step 3, we start looking for those. We start looking, hey, do I have a whole bunch of one color highlight? That means that's kind of a theme that fits together. It's important. It's something that's that everybody has in common. And that's what essentially we're looking for. We're going to use those to answer our research question. Those patterns are what we use to answer what it is we're wanting to answer. Okay, you can do this with numbers if you like. They used 1.1, 1.2, and then they used like a subsystem. It doesn't really matter how you do it. What you want to do is you want to be consistent. Okay, so you want to constantly write things down. As you find stuff throughout, you want to make notes about it. And then you also want to make yourself notes of, well, it's something emerging that I need to go back and look at it for future research, or something emerging that I had no idea about that may completely change my research. So you want to be making notes the whole entire time. So anyway, just wanted to give you guys an example of how to code. And again, I will work with you guys to help you get this right.